is, okay, the fact of the matter is that in order to bring about a very special personality, very special leaders, very special the patriarchs and the matriarchs, it's not a natural process. It's not a natural process because you're bringing unnatural, supernatural people. Super people of great faith and idealism and powers and energies to meet up, struggle, overcome difficulties in life. That's not a natural life. The life of Sarah Imeinu was not a natural life. She was she traveled hundreds of kilometers with Avram to come to the land of Israel. They moved down to Mitzrayim. She's abducted by the Egyptian police. Miracles happen in the palace that she's not raped. What a hard life. Until what age does she not give birth? 90 years old. This is an unnatural situation. We said yesterday that God implants akarut, barrenness, in these women for a special reason. One of you said, I think it was you, that God has this desire, metaphorically we're talking about desire, for the prayers of tzaddikim. What does that mean? It means the following. I learned from my rabbis. In order to produce a Yitzchak Avinu, a Yaakov Avinu, you need a special effort. In order to bring these very high neshamot from heaven down to earth, it requires tremendous effort. You should know that. You're not going to put a little money in a machine and you're going to get a candy. That's easy. Anyone could put a money in a machine and get a bubble gum or chewing gum. But here, to bring down neshamot gedolot, like Yitzchak and Yaakov Avinu, and like the upcoming leader called Shmuel, Samuel the prophet, requires tremendous efforts in tefillah. What you do not usually see. That's the meaning, the more deeper meaning of why these things happen. We're about to enter a new era, a new period of bringing to the world the kingdom of the Jewish people. That's not just Queen Elizabeth, with all due respect to Queen Elizabeth. She passed away, right? With all due respect. They say she was a wonderful woman, caring for the nation all her years, a very moral-minded person. She got a blessing from God to live such a long life, apparently. Here, we're talking something that will have effect on the world. To bring Shmuel into the world will have an effect on the world. Prophecy. And he will anoint Shaul and David into office as the kings of Israel. When we read Pasuk Gimel yesterday, 6, that the wife, Penina, is getting who angry? Chana. There's a simple meaning, which we didn't address yesterday. We addressed what Chazal said. Chazal said, you know what? I want to get her angry. Do you know why? Because I want her to pray even harder. I wanted her starker, even stronger, to pray to God. That is a deeper meaning. Okay?
There are better ways to get her to pray.
You're right, but let's not misunderstand the following. Quote, Chazal say, Ein mikra yotzei midei pshuto. A pasuk, mikra, will never ever leave its simple meaning. We cannot ignore the simple meaning. Therefore, what do we know now? That this house of Elkanah, wow, what a troubled house. They're competing with one another. She's a rival. Penina is antagonizing Chana. Yes, I understand the deeper meaning, but we have to know that Mr. Elkanah has a lot on his plate. He has a lot in his hands with these difficulties. And the question is, when you don't have shalom in your house, okay, between a husband and wife, the most important thing is shalom. If you're my wife, I respect you, you respect me. I praise the good sides of you, you praise the good sides of me. And when I see things that are not right, find a zipper and shut up. Because you can ridicule, you can criticize your wife. Do you know what? It's not going to help. She's going to feel insulted, even if she doesn't tell you. Chazal say, and I experienced this with my own mistakes, that the tears of a woman are very close by. All you have to do is, a little pinch, saying the wrong things, I mean. And if she doesn't cry now, she's going to cry later. And then you're in trouble. Then you're in trouble. You have to go ahead and make peace. This is the situation Elkanah has. And when he gives his wife a special portion, when we read in verse 7 yesterday, in verse 7, Vatifke velo tochal. She's not eating. Why is she not eating? She said it. And look in Pasuk Chet in verse 8. Vayomer la Elkanah isha. Her husband tells her, Chana, lama tifki, velama lo tochli, velama yerach levavech, halo anochi tov lach me'asara banim. It seems that Elkanah doesn't really understand what's going on at home. His wife joins the trip a few times a year up to Shiloh. He brings korbanot. He gives her a good piece of meat, and she doesn't want to eat because she's saddened. The question is, there's no peace at home. The two women are rivals, and she's in pain, and she doesn't want to eat. Don't you know that, Elkanah, that she's in pain? Don't you know that she's saddened? What do you do for that? My dear friends, idea that I heard regarding the word zvachim, he's now beginning to try, Mr. Husband Elkanah, an approach that maybe will have a long-term effect eventually on the house, on his wife, and on Israel. We said that he's bringing, which korban did we say that he's bringing? The term zvachim, vayizbach in verse 4 is which type of korban? Shlamim, a peace offering. What is a peace offering? Why is it called shlamim? From what word? Shalem or shalom. Two roots, shalom and shalem, complete. Why is this type of offering considered a complete offering? Any shlamim offering, part is burnt on the mizbeach, that's for Hashem. Part, the Kohen working at that shift, he gets part of the meat. And the owner, the one bringing the korban, he too gets part of the meat. Everyone's happy. Everyone's happy. Hashem, the Kohen, and the one bringing. Shlamim can be a voluntary offering. In this case, it's likely to be a voluntary, but in the holiday time, it could be an obligatory offering called the Chagiga offering. Now, the ultimate purpose of a peace offering is to tell us the following, that our major objective in life is serving Hashem. Yes, you can go to work. Yes, you can get on a cab. Yes, you can drive on the subway. But remember, our life, the Magama Elokit, the divine objective in our life is the ultimate purpose. His name, His morals, His ethics, His mitzvot are our primary objectives. I could be an engineer working 10 hours a day, traveling 1 hour going, 1 hour coming. That half an hour that I go to the Beit Knesset in the evening for Arvit and learn 15 minutes is the qualitative part of your day. Because you realize that even though I'm tired and have the dishes waiting for me at home, the fact that I go every night to the Beit Knesset and I learn 15 minutes, I understand that the Magama Elokit of life, the divine objective of life, is the premier, the paramount, the most important thing. This is what Elkanah is trying to do, to show his wives, to show the generation that the divine objective is most important. Let's see, does it have an effect on Chana? Chana right now is sad, doesn't eat, but you know what? She joins the trip. Each and every year, or several times a year, she goes with her husband, and they go up to Shiloh. You wanted to ask a question?
Question related to this.
Fantastic, yes?
How do you even begin to convince or convince someone that the way that serving Hashem is the best way? Because you would think that anyone who believes that would already be doing it, and anyone who's not doing it probably doesn't believe it to begin with.
Okay, excellent question. There's what we call, first of all, a setting of a personal example. Right now, there's a crisis time. She's married. She doesn't have it. She's never pregnant. Right now, she can't get over it. She's sad. If she would fully believe in God and have confidence in God, she'll be able to overcome. Right now, the Tanakh is about to tell us what she does in Shiloh. She starts opening up her heart and praying. Let's notice her prayer, and maybe she's seeing the ultimate objective that her husband is teaching him. It says now in Pasuk Tet, verse 10. You don't have a scissor here, do you? Remind me later. No. Pasuk Tet, verse 9. Vatakom Chana. Achrei ochala b'Shiloh. Did she eat? No. So what's the eating? What's the eating? After everyone else ate. Very good. Achrei ochala b'Shiloh v'achrei shato. Everyone ate and drank. She didn't. Ve'eli HaKohen yoshev ala kisei. There's the high priest. Eli, he's sitting on his wonderful chair. It could be that Chazal say that he was appointed to be the shofet of the generation right now. Eli is not only a Kohen Gadol, but he's the last of the shoftim. Okay, follow the pasuk in Tet. Ala kisei al mezuzah techal Hashem. Where is his chair? It's right by the doorpost of the entrance to the Mishkan. He's a leader. Pasuk Yud. Chana gets up. Verse 10, Vihi marat nafesh. She's embittered. She's saddened. Okay? She's going through a hard time. And what does she do? Here, she's learning. Fatit palel al Hashem uvachot tivkeh. Aleph, she prays. Bet, she cries. When a woman or a man is crying, they're submitting themselves before God. They're giving up their heart and their soul to God in their prayer and asking Hashem, I want to change. I want to be a different person. Accept my prayer. Remember, a prayer will not change anything in God. The object of prayer is us to change. Rav Kook, in his opening introduction to his Siddur called Olat Riyah, right in back of me, thank you. Olat Riyah is the name of a burnt offering, Olah, of Riyah, when you come to see God in the Pesach, Shavuot, Sukkot, one of the sacrifices is called Olat Riyah. Riyah is also the acronym for Rav Kook's name. Reish stands for Rav, Aleph, Avraham, Yitzchak HaKohen. Avraham Yitzchak HaKohen.
This is his commentary on Tefillah.
A few words in his commentary. This is how Rav Kook prayed. Very deep. One of the great Haredi rabbis watched Rav Kook pray, and he said, I forgot it was Isra Zalman Mentz, I forgot which, he says, halavai that my Yom Kippur davening would be like Rav Kook's everyday davening. He was so deep, so much kavanah. What the point I want to show you. Rav Kook writes, so I don't see it. I thought it was at the beginning. Rav Kook writes that the objective of prayer is not to change God. God is abstract. God is not changeable. Who can change? We can change. Okay? Here it is. If we really deepen our understanding, tefillah is a need. It's a need for me to connect to God. And there should be enjoyment in prayer. After the prayer, like you got a good hamburger with kreut and mustard and vegetable salad, you have a good feeling in your stomach. So too, spiritually, after the praying the Shemon Esrei, should be a good feeling of enjoyment. And he says that tefillah, ina tefillah chafetza lishanot shum davar be'elokut. You can't change anything regarding God. God is unchangeable. God doesn't change. Who changes? We change. God is the source of eternity. God is not in the criteria of change. Ela lita'alot. Our purpose in prayer is to uplift ourselves, to become higher and more lofty and greater, more idealistic, more spiritual. With all the things that's happening to you, that's causing you to change and causing you to be different during your day, we want to stop 3 times during the day from the rat race, and we want to connect to God. And by connecting to God, we're uplifting ourselves. All these ideals, the values inside the Shemona Esrei, the meaning allows me to go up. And now she's begging. Chana is crying. Not only praying, but she's crying. And what does she say? Pasuk Yud Aleph, let's read her prayer. Vatidur neder. In her prayer, she makes a vow. Vatomar, and she says, Hashem Tzivaot. It's an interesting name. She calls God the God of hosts. Imra'ot tired ba'oni amatecha. If you see the affliction of your maidservant, she calls herself a maidservant, a woman who's a slave. She's submitting herself. Uzchartani, and you remember me, velo tishkach et amatecha, and don't forget. V'natata lamatcha zera nashim, and you allow me to have a child, you give me the seed of men. You know what I'm going to do? Unitativ l'Hashem kol yemei chayav. I'm going to dedicate him all his life to God. Umora lo ya'aleh orosho. What is a mora? A razor. Will not go on his head. Gentlemen, she's now dedicating that if God answers her prayer and she becomes pregnant and has a child, this baby will eventually become a Nazir, a Nazareth.
It seems like Elkanah's plan did work.
It sees that she's uplifting herself to more holy levels that she did not reach before. My friends, inside the source sheet that we gave out, we've been using, no, I'm going to leave that, no, it's not here, I didn't bring it. I want to say the following. The Talmud says about Chana, that from the time God created the world, there was never anyone ever in the Chumash, in the Tanakh, that addressed God with the name Hashem Tzivaot. Until Chana came around. Chana came around, she addressed God, Hashem Tzivaot. Wow. What does the Talmud say? The Talmud says, Chana, praying to God, Mikol tzivei tzvot shebarata ba'olamecha. Of all the hosts, all the powers, hosts are angels, are powers, are energies in the world. Of all things you created in the world, Kashe beinecha? Is it so hard to give me a baby? That's what she's saying. You're in charge of everyone. Be careful, there's an angel back of you. Just move the way. Okay? Okay? Of everything you created. Gentlemen, what she is understanding is a vital understanding that she believes that to bring a baby into the world, you must be relating to God, that not only does God reveal himself in the klali way, but also in a private way. But she realizes, I don't want a child just for me. I want a child for your name. In other words, she's an idealistic woman, and she realized that God's name could even become greater as she calls him a new name, Hashem Tzivaot. Apparently this woman, Chana, is not just any other woman. The fact that she's married to this great man called Elkanah shows that she has great capabilities, klali capabilities, national capabilities, that we didn't see maybe by other women in the world. And therefore she's going to be a mother of a leader. Because she herself has these aspirations that above and beyond every mother that has an aspiration to have a child, this woman, we're going to see in the rest of her prayer and the song afterwards, wow, she cares so much for the nation of Israel. She cares so much for God of Israel. She cares so much for the process called Mashiach, that we're going to have a king anointed. Mashiach means anointed king. So therefore she's a very high, lofty woman. In the continuation of her prayer, what does she say? Pasuk Yud Bet Ve'aya, and it would be Kihir Betalit Palel Ifnei Hashem. She would pray time and time again, so much. Ve'eli Shomer et Piha. When is this woman going to stop already? When is she going to? Enough! In other words, Eli starts to feel annoyed. He starts to feel, and he keeps his mouth shut. He doesn't want to insult her. She's very what? Sensitive. She could be insulted, God forbid. He's waiting. Shomeret Pia. He's waiting until she'll stop, as Rashi says. But she continues. Notice how she prays. Pasuk Yud Gimel. V'chanai midaberet al liba. In other words, she's praying how?
Her heart, from her heart.
Softly. Belachash. Whispering. She is praying that you next door can't even hear her. You're sitting next to her, you can't hear her. Rak sfaten na'ot, her lips are moving only. V'kola lo yishamea. No one hears her talking. Vayachshaveh Eli l'shikora. What does Eli think? She's had a few too Bloody Marys. She is drunk. In other words, do you know the Gemara, Mesechet Brachot, brings this woman and teaches us halachot for praying Shemona Esrei. Okay? And who told you we don't honor the women of Israel? From the women of Israel, we're learning how do you pray to God? From Chana. And it's brought from the Gemara to the Shulchan Aruch. Pasuk Yudalet, verse 14. Vayomer Eila Eli. He addresses her. Ad matai tishtakarin? Until when are you going to keep on being drunk? Hasirit yeinech me'alayich. Remove the wine from you. In other words, he is totally understanding that she's drunk. Now this poor woman, her heart is broken. She's a sad woman. She goes along with her husband every time up to Shiloh. She doesn't eat, and she's praying, pouring her heart out of here. Look at her answer. The answer of a woman whose heart is broken. No one, not even me, who's married 38 years, thank God. Can we understand what's going on in a woman's heart after tens of years of marriage and not having a child? Look what she answers the Kohen Gadol. Pasuk Tetva, verse 15. You thought I'm drunk? I'm pouring my heart out to God, whispering. Pasuk Tetva, verse 15. Vatan chana vatomer lo adoni. Look at this reaction. No, I'm sorry. Yet she honors him. Adoni. Isha kshat ruach anochi. I'm a woman who's what? What does kshat ruach mean?
Heavy heart.
What is heavy heart meaning? I've gone through trouble. I'm a troubled woman. Kshat ruach. Look at the language in Hebrew. I have koshi. I have difficulty. I can't overcome this difficulty. I want to have a child, and I don't have a child. V'yayin v'shechar lo shatiti. I don't go to the bar. I don't drink wine or alcoholic beverages. Shechar are alcoholic beverages. Instead, what does she say? Ve'eshpoch et nafshi lifnei Hashem. Wow. She's using such metaphor that it's so true that she's spilling her heart out. I'm spilling my soul, my guts, my entire self. I'm pouring it out before God in Shiloh and praying to God. Pasuk Tet Zayin, verse 16. Al titen et amatcha lefnei bat Belial. Okay? Don't think what? That, I should be belittled. I should be sent before, ruthless people. Ki merov sichi v'chasi. Only because of my lengthy prayer and my kas. What kas? My rival wife is antagonizing me. Don't you think it hurts? 2 women in the same house, and she's antagonizing her. She may have good intentions, but how long can you accept this antagonism? I feel antagonized. I feel hurt. Merov sichi v'chasi dibarti, and that's why I'm speaking now. I feel very bad. Pasuk Yud Zayin, verse 17. Vayan Eli vayomer. He answers her in a very polite way. Vayomer. Vayomer is very polite as opposed to the word vayidaber. What does he say to her? Lechi lishalom. At the end of your day, you're leaving. You're leaving Eretz Yisrael. You're leaving, Shiloh. You finish your tefillah. You want to go home right now? Elokei Yisrael yitain et shelatech asher shalt me'imo. Look, now the Kohen Gadol sees eye to eye with this woman. I support you. I'm even praying for you. May God answer your question that you asked from Him. In other words, may God give you children. May God give you children. And he wishes her lechi lishalom. A very important Hebrew rule, please, let's learn it. God forbid when we go to a funeral, a very important mitzvah, and we accompany, livvaya, to accompany the dead, what we might say in our hesped, our eulogy, after talking of the praise of the departed, we say to the deceased, lech bishalom. Go bishalom, the prefix bishalom, because he's not coming back. Go in peace. When you're wishing someone is going on the road, have a safe trip, we say, beautiful, we say lech lishalom. Or, I told Avigdor that went back to Vienna, I told him, tzeitcha lishalom and bo'acha lishalom. Again, the lamed would be used. End of it.
Eli have a special eye, we could see inside somebody, and he saw the otiot shatui. That's why he thought she was drunk.
Okay, there's a midrash.
But it was in another order.
Yes, there's a midrash there. Okay, but I think the point is here, Chana being the first to call out Hashem Tzevaot. You have so many powers. You have so many matters. I'm caring for your name of God. I want the divine leadership in the world to appear, not only through me, a private woman. We're going to see she's interested in bringing the kingdom of Israel to the world, as we're going to see. And therefore, God knows that these great women, they're bringing into fruition the great divine spiritual potential. As we're going to see, let's read the next pasuk. Pasuk Yudchet, verse 18. Vatomer, she responds and she says, Timtza shifchatcha chen beinecha. You found your shifcha. Again, she calls herself a maidservant. Shifcha is a woman servant. She's humbling herself. Even though she's probably a famous wife, a very profound leader called Elkanah. Timtza shivchatcha et chen beinecha, vatelecha isha ledarka. She's on her way. And now what does she do for the first time? Vatochal. She didn't eat before. She had sadness. Now she's a happier woman. She realizes the divine objective of the world through prayer will bring about results. I've got now a bracha from the high priest who's the shofet of the generation. I poured out my guts. I became closer to God. I now understand there's a divine objective in the world better than I understood before. So right now, she's no longer with a sad face. She's no longer disappointed, in a state of dismay. She eats and she goes home. Pasuk Yutet, verse 19. Vayashkimu vaboker, vayishtachavu lifnei Adonai, vayashuvu vayavo el beitam haramata, vayeda Elkanah Chana ishto, vayizkereha Adonai. A fantastic pasuk. Do you notice? The first 4 verbs in the pasuk, singular or plural? Vayashkimu, vayishtachavu, vayashuvu, vayavo. What do you notice? Plural. Everyone's getting up early. Everyone is bowing down before God in the Mishkan. And now they're on their donkey or horse express ride from Shiloh to the Ephraim town. Where does he live, Elkanah? It just says in the mountains of Ephraim called Tzofim. It may not be a long trip because Shiloh is in the Ephraim mountains. What I notice here is the families together. Even though it's a complex home, a man that's bringing shlamim, he understands the divine objective of the world. One wife does not understand the divine objective. The other wife is antagonizing the other wife. What a balagan he has in his house. He has a balagan, and he's hoping and praying. And when does the hope and pray reach its potential? She takes into her own hands her life. She pours out her heart in prayer. She calls out a name of God that was never called before, Hashem Tzivaot, and she's hoping and praying that God's name will be revealed not only through her private life, but maybe through a public life. She may be able, we're going to see what's in her heart. We're going to see her song about the kingdom of Israel. And maybe there's going to be a day that she'll be able to crown God as the God of Israel and the God of the world. And this is what's going to happen. So they come home, and here, the special verb for marital relations, Vayeda Elkanah et Chana ishto. When we talk about matters of modesty between he and she, modesty is modesty. It's covered up. These things are not public. A husband and wife bringing children into the world is the most holy thing in the world. The actual marriage itself in halacha is called kiddushin, right? I was at a wedding last night of a dear friend of mine that made aliyah also 40 whatever years ago from New York. He has a Yemenite wife. He's marrying his 4th child or so. And it was a great rabbi doing the ceremony, and he was really fantastic. He was so cool and so spiritual, so special. I enjoyed the ceremony. Usually the ceremony is a little boring here and there, but he really added a lot of schmaltz. He added a lot of good things to the wedding. And the first part, when the blessing is recited, it's called the Birchat HaKiddushin, because the union of a man and a woman together is so holy, so special. And it's ultimately, of course, for the purpose of doing what God did, multiplying the world. To bring children into the world is the greatest gift, yet the most basic objective and mitzvah between a husband and wife. Yet these things belong to the world of modesty. And therefore, look at the interesting verb the Tanakh uses. Tell me if you remember where it was used for the first time in the Tanakh, in the Chumash. Vayeda Elkanah et Chana ishto. And he knew her. He knew her meaning through marital relations. When did it appear the first time? Adam Arishon. Very good. It says, Vayeda Adam et Chava Ishto. If I'm not mistaken, if that's the quote. Marital relations. Right? Intimacy is knowing. Knowing and being with her is intimacy. And then it says, the last two words, Vayizkareha Hashem. What does that remind you? This term, Vayizkareha Hashem. Huh? What is stated regarding Sarah Imenu? Okay? Did I bring it? No. I thought I brought it. I didn't bring it. What's stated about Sarah Imenu? Okay? Vayiskor Vashem Pakad et Sarah. Or it says Vayiskor Hashem et Rivka. The term Vayiskor is mentioned. Lifkod is also mentioned. My dear friends, the Talmud says both Chana and Sarah Imenu became pregnant on the first day of Tishrei, on Rosh Hashanah. In other words, on Rosh Hashanah is the day of conception. And you know what? We can ask ourselves, if the Talmud, in the oral Torah handing it down, tells us that she, Chana, became pregnant on Rosh Hashanah, what do I care? What is this? A diary book in the hospital? What is it called? The daily thing that the nurses and doctors write on? What is it called? I don't know. What's the difference when she became pregnant? What is Aleph? What does Rosh Hashanah mean for us? It's a day of what? It's a day of crowning God. Other than blowing the shofar, we have no other mitzvot on Rosh Hashanah. What are we doing? We're crowning God. What does it mean we're crowning Him? We're accepting His power, His prowess, His supremacy upon us. He's judging us. He's the king, and I'm His servant. That's how we're crowning God. It's very, very special. So she is going to give birth, God willing, in 9 months from now, because she wants to crown God as well. She made a neder, a vow, that if she does have a son, she's giving him away. Giving him away to who? To the Mishkan, to serve there as a Nazir. By the way, the father, Elkanah, is a Kohen, Levi, or Yisrael? He's a Levi. She is ready to hand over her child. Wow, that's a very noble thing. Of course, she means that after she finished nursing the baby, diapering him, cuddling him, muchu puchu, all these things. Remember what our mothers did for us, or fathers? It could be to a very young age where he no longer requires being attached to the mother. We're going to see. We're going to see, yeah. So this is happening right now, that to crown God on Rosh Hashanah and the conception are coming together, because this child will be someone that will be crowning God Himself. Let's go on. Pasuk Kaf, verse 20. Vayihi litkufot hayamim. Time passes away. Time passes away. Months pass away. Vatar Chana, she's pregnant. Vateled ben, she gives birth. Vatikra et shmo Shmuel. Why? Why don't you call her Menachem? Right? Ki me Hashem she'iltiv.
Sounds like Shaul.
Ki, very nice. Ki me Hashem she'iltiv. What does it mean? Me Hashem she'alt. The little translation is that from God I requested Him. So first of all, El. Do we see God's name there? Yes or no? And we see Sha'al. If you take away the mem, you have which word? Sha'al. So that's basically the understanding. Shmuel is the name. He was asked from. I especially asked God for him, for his appearance. Now, yes, go ahead.
It sounds almost like Shemu, like Shama, like God listened, God heard.
And that's stated regarding Shimon with the letter Ayin. God heard the prayer of Leah. Okay?
What about Shmuel?
What? Yishmael. Hashem Shamael. You're right. That's what we learn. A lot of answering of prayer from the birth of Yishmael when he was born. Absolutely. What are you saying, David?
What about Shmuel?
Okay, but that doesn't say that. But it doesn't say that. It says Ki me Hashem she'iltiv.
Where's the mem come from?
You're right. The mem is a question. I don't know myself.
Mine says Shaul
Shaul, what?
Me'el.
Shaul Meir.
God.
Oh, very good. That works. Shaul Mei Hashem. In other words, El Sha'alti et El Mei Hashem. Could be the name. Nevertheless, Pasuk Kaf Aleph will end the shore with this. Vayala ish el kana v'chol beito. Where does he go up to? Obviously to the Mishkan. Lizboach laHashem et zevach hayamim et nidro. Every often, every moed, every holiday, he goes up, and you know what? He also brings his neder. What is this referring to? There are people that in between holidays, in order to bring them closer to God, they vow themselves a vow that when I go up the next time, I want to bring this type of offering, that type of offering. Now, when a person makes a neder, as the Mishnah explains in Masechet Nedarim, two opinions in the Mishnah. How much time do you have to pay up? Do you have, one opinion says you have 1 year from now. Another opinion says you have the time of 3 holidays. One opinion says 3 holidays according to its order. Which is the first of the 3 holidays? Pesach. So you may even have more than 1 year. Nonetheless, Elkanah is a type of person who's very diligent, who's very quick. He doesn't want to delay. He has an obligation, pays back right away. Pays back right away. He's going now to the Mishkan. Who doesn't join him? His wife. Why not? She's home with the baby. The road is not exactly the best place for a woman. I noticed something very unusual happening in the last generation. You know, when a woman gives birth, it's quite an ordeal. It's quite a miracle. A lot of chesed is done. We need a lot of prayer. Okay? It's a big miracle, and historically used to be a great danger, right? Many infants would die, God forbid. Today we have a lot of modern day medicine and technology to help provide a healthy delivery, thank God. Because a woman was in a great danger, and thank God she came out of that danger, what should she do? Very nice. The Talmud talks about those that have to thank God for the miracles that happened to them. I crossed the desert. I crossed the ocean. I was very sick, God forbid, and I came out healthy. Okay? These and others, that miracles happened to them, give thanks to God. During the time of the temple, what would a person do? What would he bring? What korban? Todah. A Todah offering. A thanks offering. That's a type of shlamim offering a person would bring. But today when we don't have the Beit HaMikdash, in lieu of, instead of a korban todah, what can we bring? What can we do? Tzedakah, charity is nice. What else? Birchat HaGomel. There's a particular blessing. When you cross the ocean, all these things, we go up to the Sefer Torah if we can, in front of a minyan, and we recite the blessing of thanking God for bestowing kindness to us. Hagomel lechayavim tomot shegamalani kol tov. That's the language of the bracha. So, one of our great rabbis, I heard, and that's what my wife would do, she would rest for a few months after giving birth, and only recite the blessing after a few months. Today, you hear more. At the Brit Milah, you hear these Sephardi women and some others. Wow, already on the 8th day, they're reciting the bracha. I'm amazed. Wow, what is the idea? They went through a very hard delivery. They're weakened. Until they go back to their original strength. I think that's what the poskim say. They should not say the bracha until they go back. One of the great rabbis says when they can already do a spanja. You know what a spanja is? When they can wash the floors with the squeegee. If they're already strong enough to do a sponge on the floor, then they can recite the bracha. So I'm a little, sometimes
But also the husband can do it.
No. She should do the own bracha. Come to the synagogue, recite the bracha, or at a public place. So today it seems maybe the women are getting stronger, because I noticed recently that on the 8th day itself, at the Brit Milah, the women are reciting Birchat HaGomel. Tov, Mazal Tov, Mazal Tov. Mazal Tov, Shmuel was born, We'll learn more about Shmuel later.